Over the course of this class, I have learned a lot about what it means to design and have been introduced to multiple venues where I might do just that. For this design activity, I wanted to showcase an overview of everything I've created and completed, some of the highlights and things I have learned along the way. I have learned throughout this course that design is so much more than just the word or what you think of when you initially hear this. I feel design is a visual communication and really is an art. With design, we can perceive products, spaces, and each other differently. I think without design, most of the world is flat, without vibrance. Because of this, I believe design plays an integral part in all we do. When learning about the various different platforms we use, I was struck by the similarities and unique differences of each venue. Within each, there was a balance you need to find within the medium, but also a need to understand how every piece fits together like a puzzle. So over the course of 16 weeks, we explore what design could be. We chose 4 different venues to create design products and learn more. I chose to design a web page, flip a classroom, learn more about Photoshop, and video. My first module was the HTML, CSS, and jQuery module. I felt this was my most difficult module with the highest learning curve, but the most rewarding. Over the few weeks we spent learning about building websites, I was able to create my own where I showcased my personal life or various aspects of it. I used the resources provided to watch and practice everything I could about website design and creation. With the help of other designers before me, videos, and brackets, an application which helps you in coding your website, I learned how to create an accordion-style web page, photo grid elements, navigation bar, and a draggable item. I think I could have been a little bit more creative if I had the time, but each element completed and working on my webpage was really rewarding. I found after learning about the basics of web page designing, it was not super complicated as I initially had thought, but there was a lot of memorization involved with the various commands and the needs for all the elements to be typed in the correct places. I believe going forward, I would need to learn more before I bring this form of design into my classroom and showing students how to create with design and math. I really thought it was important to start with this module as it set the tone for my next 3 modules. In the second module, I went more specific with my career teaching. I decided to be retaught how to flip a classroom. This concept was not a new one for me, so it was the quickest to learn and get started with. Using EduCreations as a platform to videotape my lessons, I quickly learned how to navigate using the tools provided. There were some challenges at first, such as making sure to remember to delete items on the page so the space was available for writing, but after a short amount of time, I felt really confident. I really enjoyed working with the different colors and writing tools. I found that when I taught the lesson in color, it was clearer for me and hopefully clearer for a student as to what I wanted to emphasize and have them look at. Within this module, I also found it really useful to create an Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is a website in which you can embed questions into your video content. I thought this was a great way for a teacher and a student to see if the material was being designed in the appropriate way for their learning. With the elements of being able to move forward and backward when students needed, and to verify if the students were understanding the video content through the questions, I think this really spoke to me when it came to blended and flipped learning. I think out of all the modules, this will be the one I use the most this school year. My third module was one of the modules I was looking forward to the most. It was learning about Photoshop. I was looking forward to learning about this one the most because I was a photographer prior to being a teacher, but have not been working with Photoshop for a while, so I know this will be a topic I will continue to study and perfect as I continue to play around with photography. Within this unit, we learned about design by use of color and layering. I enjoyed working with placement of the rectangles to add emphasis to the center of the space and making the space balanced. I used this knowledge in creating my class logo for my classroom and when designing my collage of Alaska. In my logo design, I wanted to create something I could use in my classroom, so I created Miss Strickland's math class with a tiger paw in the middle. This is my school mascot, and I'll be using this as a labeling mechanism for this year. In my collage, I used pictures from the cruise I was on during this module from Alaska. In both products, I tried to be purposeful in designing something pleasing to the eye and making sure to highlight the correct areas of the product. In the last module, I dabbled in video editing. I thought this would be a perfect module to complement my flipped classroom module. I learned a lot when it came to using iMovie and using green screen. This is also I learned how to create a Powtown or Powtoon, which is what I'm using to present this design activity. Over this module, I found that green screen to be really fun to work with, but frustrating when the product appears to be less quality because of the shadows or the soft edges. I also was filming myself, so I had to do quite a few takes before I was happy with the amount of eye contact I used, appearance, and the way I presented the material. In the final product, I used picture-in-picture to help add a library background and to insert my Powtoon onto the book I was holding. I think I could have created a more cohesive look if I had better resources and more time, but overall I was happy with the video and plan to use it with my students this year for them to create their own videos and tools. I learned a lot about design and a lot about each of the different avenues for design in this class. I think the most important to be is to always be innovative, challenge yourself to push the boundaries of what your preconceived ideas are, and to make sure your design tells a story that is specific to your vision. Overall, I hope you've enjoyed seeing what I completed this semester. I really feel I learned a lot, and if you want to keep in contact with me, follow me on Twitter at Megan N. Strickland, or always check on my WordPress site to see more products I will be creating in my next LDP classes. Until then, have a great rest of the year.